So now I'd like to welcome cultural anthropologist Rose Cameron, who is the past head of innovation at Penn State Outreach and Education, online education. She's lived in Happy Valley for about 3 years, and I think we're pretty lucky to have her on the ground today because she said she travels about 200 days out of the year, so we're lucky to have her. Let's welcome Rose Cameron.
Whoa, thanks so much. Hello, everybody. You guys awake? Give me some sound. Woo! I woke up for you guys. You got to wake up for me, okay, deal? So I've spent essentially my entire life researching you. I don't know how many people, maybe some creepy dates, say that everyone, hey, baby. Spent the past 25 years studying you, but I actually have. And on accounts such as Stride Right, when you were babies, we were trying to figure out how your mothers wanted to raise you. McDonald's, why weren't you eating the food anymore? Nintendo, okay, plain isolation versus a family play with the Wii. And then finally Starbucks with the launch of Evolution Juices, where we said, okay, how are their eating patterns changed? So I can actually say my life has been very much defined by everyone in this room. I thank you because you've paid the bills. During this presentation, I'm going to take insights from all of those research, mash them up a bit with the Pew Research Institute and the Education Advisory Board, and we're going to have an interesting discussion. So, what you see in front of you right now is a spectrum of generations, and I want to see some hands very quickly. Anybody here born between 1940 and 1961? Okay, you're alone. Okay, that's great. These are the boomers, everybody. We've got one in the room, but they actually are 25% of the population, an enormous group of people. I talk about them very often as the inventors. They brought technology in, they created a lot of it, but then they evolved to my generation. Anybody here born between like 1962 and 1980? Anybody? Yay, represent. Okay, we're the Gen Xers. We are the twisted individuals between these two enormous groups of the boomers and the millennials. Boomers, as I said, 25%. Millennials, actually 27% of the population. You guys number about 80 million in the United States alone. Okay? So kind of intimidating, just saying, because the Gen Xers, we are the byproduct of birth control. So it went 25, 11%, and then 27%. So obviously the boomers didn't get the memo about the birth control, but our parents did. So what you will see in this spectrum of how we interact with technology is the inventors are over there. The bridge, very much, we found, were the Gen Xers. We have taken a lot of the technology that was created by those inventors, and we've evolved it. But then what we're really seeing with your generation is that you've normalized it, you've internalized it. And I think of you far more as makers. So it's so much part of your system that you don't think about it a lot. Does this mean with millennials that you're all tech literate? Hell no. You can take, if you feel inadequate prior to this, you're going to feel great after, okay? What you'll notice as you look at the spectrum of people is older, mature, kind of middle of the road, multiple colors, and then it gets really young, doesn't it? It gets really young really fast. And a lot of those people on the far left actually became famous when they were like 12 or 13 years old with no education whatsoever. So the interesting thing when you look at the spectrum of the millennials' life, and I started studying this and I was like, oh my God, they were like built by Apple. Seriously. Because if you look at the spectrum here, what you see is product launches that were actually timed with your specific life stages. I was working with Microsoft and IBM when Apple owned education, right? And everyone said, oh, don't worry about Apple, they're niche. Only graphic artists and kids at schools use them. Well, guess what? When you educate people to speak in a specific language, guess what? They're going to buy it throughout their entire lives. And this is the launch of all of their major products and the ages that you would have all been during that period of time. So you have literally been nurtured your entire life by Apple design. And what does that create? It doesn't create a bunch of people who are incredibly literate in technology. What it creates are people who are incredibly difficult to please with technology, right? Because your standards are here. We say in business, if you build for women, you build to the highest aesthetic because we're the pickiest people in the world about design, okay? Men, you can give them something ugly. It has enough knobs on it, they'll love it because they'll feel special playing with it, right? Women, on the other hand, are very much like, no, if it doesn't have design and function built in, we're very William Morris, right? Then it doesn't work for me. And that's what we find with the Apple generation, that you want great technology, but you don't want to have to fight for it. You don't have to want to work at it. This is something that was really interesting to me, is how people learn as well. So when you go from 11% of the population going to schools, and then it explodes to 27% of the population, guess what you don't have enough of? You don't have enough space, and you sure the heck don't have enough teachers. So they started to change the way you guys were taught, the way you were wired to learn. And they did group learning. Anybody here do group learning exercises and maths and that sort of thing? It was really big. Yeah, sign of hands. Yeah, you were the first. I didn't have to do that shit. That was not part of my lexicon, right? I could embarrass myself by myself. So the millennials are really, if you look at them, number one thing I found with them, when you research them, every single one of these generations say that they believe the purpose of their generation was to create change. That they believe in the power of we of me's, right? This whole "it's only an I generation" is a load of crap. You guys know that. You're more about being successful with your friends collectively. It's also about that pragmatic, intuitive design that I talked about, and that's the hard stuff. You can push out as many technology innovations as you want to, but if they don't have pragmatic intuition built into them, they're going to die within 6 months. I work with companies that do this. I see it all the time. And finally, you're interesting in that you are very hands-on, and it's kind of what I think of the zombie apocalypse flip side of your technology. You guys are conscious that you're like addicted to technology. You're good with that, right? So a lot of people that I know who are millennials go, well, I need to build things because if the apocalypse happens, I'm totally screwed. I'm too dependent on my phone. I swear to God, I have had conversations with people like this. So this is you guys in the workforce right now. You are going to be, by 2025, 75% of the population. 75% of the population of the workforce. Okay? Right now, you're making up about 50% of the leadership because what companies are doing is they're down-aging. They're getting rid of people my age, and they're putting you guys in there. Why does this have anything to do with technology and education? It means that you have to learn continuously through your life because what we're finding is that you guys, 60% of the jobs that are going to be given to kindergartners today haven't been invented yet. They haven't been invented yet. So the stress that puts on you guys is you're going to have to be constantly learning. You can't stop after this. This is what I'm really concerned about right now. Sorry, it's not about you, it's the centennials. They also call this Gen Z. It's the group directly below it. It's your little brothers, your little sisters, and they are cray-cray, okay? If you guys had a nice linear line of Apple, this is their technology curve, right? And what you see in this technology curve is their first toy was a mobile phone, handed to them in the back seat of the car by mom. They had Dora the Explorer and multiple screens. They had laptops as the norm. They had Skype with Granny calling in. They had Wikipedia with free information that people are actually now recognizing is primarily correct. They had the Khan Academy, tablets. All of their books were always digital. Now think about the situation you have here in Penn State right now. Can you get all of your books digitally? Can you work group easily in all your classes? Can you actually Skype with people as part of your courses? I think you'll be saying no to at least a few of those. And those are some of the considerations that we have to take in mind when we look at the centennials, who, by the way, are coming here now. Okay? Born 2000, you do the math, they're 17 right now, bam. So these guys, rather than having that Apple aesthetic, they're all about open information, sharing information, tech sensory. You know, does it feel right? They're grounded. They're repurposers. They are going to be hell on wheels at this university when they hit, because their expectations are here versus where you were here. So I introduce you guys to the Centennials. They will be the people you're managing. Best of luck to you. And that is my time for you guys today. Thank you so much.